all, my name is Rage, and welcome one and all to my post-Paradox Convention 2014 video. For those of you that don't know, I've been in Miami for the last 5 days because Paradox were awesome enough to invite me to their convention again this year after Iceland last year. So what I want to do this video is go over all the games that I was shown and give my initial first impressions / thoughts on them, and it's gonna be all good in the hood. I do apologize for the lack of proper gameplay and, you know, proper interesting visuals in this video. I'm working with what I have, which is not a lot. A lot of these games I can't physically have gameplay to show you, that kind of thing, so I do apologize for that. The main thing that you need to do is just focus on my voice. You can watch the visuals if you're especially bored, but go on your favourite game, whack this on your other monitor, let's have a blast. This is the only time that I will ever advocate listening to this in the background. Any other video, I hunt you down, we have a long talk about it. It's going to be a very awkward talk, actually. I don't know why. I'm not going to do that at all, but you know what I'm trying to say. It's fine, it's fine. Would you believe this is the most serious of the free videos I'm going to do from this convention? Rage Gaming videos! Oh, God, I know how to YouTube. The other two videos I'm going to do, by the way, is a general overview of the trip, which is going to be funsies and awesome, and then a hands-on with a Steambox. I got to play Paradox games and various other games on a Steambox, and I finally know what it's like, know what the Steam controller's like, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on that. It really is quite an interesting experience, but that is not this day. Let us talk about the games from Paradox Convention 2014. Yes, indeed. First up, I'm going to talk about the two highlight games for me, and you may know that I was in a stream. You better know because I tweeted about it. And in the stream, we played Magicka Wizard Wars, a new mode that they'd announced, and War of the Vikings. Both these games have really, really impressed me. First of all, I'm going to get War of the Vikings out the way. I say out the way like I just need to shove it aside so I can move on with stuff. That's not the impression I want you to get, because War of the Vikings, long story short, is very good fun. It was absolutely a blast. That stream was the most intense, awesome stream. Loads of YouTubers in a room were all just like kicking the hell out of each other as Vikings. Then we did it again as Wizards. It was a great experience. I heartily recommend that you watch the stream from Paradox's Twitch. You know, obviously it's not live anymore. That'd be a little bit weird. They've just been streaming for days. They won't let us out of this room. Help me, everyone. No, but I would recommend watching it post-stream because it still was fantastic fun. Anyway, that is by the by. War of the Vikings. Now, before I begin talking about specifically Vikings, I'm going to deal with the elephant in the room. That was me mimicking shooting an elephant. I'm sorry, it was a bad joke. I regretted it as I was saying, but I was committed and I had to finish it. So, the elephant in the room is, of course, War of the Roses and Chivalry. Now, War of the Roses, I've played a fair amount, probably about 10 hours, and it's a good game. It's got its problems. It does have its problems. Even the Paradox guys have have realized that War of the Roses does have its problems. I spoke at length with the developer, lead producer, one of those titles. I'm bad at game company titles of War of the Roses / Vikings, and you know, we had this conversation. He's cool. It's fine. It's fine. So War of the Roses was fun. It was a good concept, being from Yorkshire and, you know, lacking the War of the Roses, the damn Lancashire bastards. No, but it's good. I like the premise, but the combat in that game was clunky and it wasn't the most visceral, but it was certainly serviceable. The ranged combat was exemplary, a lot better than Melee in my opinion, and the whole thing felt like a maybe 18-90% game, if that makes sense. Now, this wouldn't be that bad if it wasn't for the fact that Chivalry came out pretty much at the same time and vastly, in my opinion, and many others, in fact everyone I know, overshadowed War of the Roses. Chivalry's combat system was just felt smoother, more tactile, fun in every way. It was just, I'm gonna be frank, okay, I'm not Rage anymore, I'm frank now. It was just better than War of the Roses with Chivalry. In my opinion, I would like to stress, it just was. So, War of the Vikings, when it first got announced, I was like, so this is War of the Roses with a Viking skin. Chivalry's still going to be better, and Deadliest Warrior, which was announced at the same time, has Vikings in it anyway, so... Oh, Paradox, I love you guys, but you've shot yourselves in the foot here. And then I played it, and I was like, holy crap! And then I played it some more, and I was like, damn! And then I played it the third most, and I was like, okay, I take it back, take that bullet out of your foot. You have pulled a blinder here, because I have to say, ladies and gentlemen, War of the Vikings, for me right now, is way more fun than Chivalry Deadliest Warrior, which is comparable because both War of the Roses and Chivalry have released a subsequent expansion-like game, Deadliest Warrior and War of the Vikings, and out of those two, War of the Vikings is vastly superior. The combat system is refined, more fluid, more visceral, more tactile. It's just a lot better. You really feel like a Viking. It's like bloody and gore, and the actions and the yelling and the voice work is fantastic. The environments look beautiful. The customization is a lot more streamlined and slick, and it's just it's like War of the Roses on steroids, is like major like powerful steroid, like steroids of steroids, and it really is fantastic fun. I enjoyed my time being a Robin Hood, like Viking archer, dropping people left and right, just dominating the stream up. It was just great fun. War of the Vikings, I have to say, I heartily recommend that game. It's early access on Steam, and it is just, I'm gonna do a tournament on that game as soon as like a proper spectator mode and everything is implemented and, you know, it's released properly, and you know what I'm saying. I am definitely going to do a War of the Vikings tournament because it's perfect for it. You can have a 4v4 in a really small map with a sort of last team standing. The rounds are really short, so you're not there being bored waiting to respawn, etc, etc. It's just really good, visceral fun, and it is awesome being a Viking. I really do love War of the Vikings, which I never expected to do because I never liked really never liked War of the Roses, but I have been a convert, I really have, and War of the Vikings is just great fun. That's really all I've got to say about it at this stage. It's been announced for a while, you guys know what's going on with War of the Vikings, but yes, now that I've had a proper experience with it, I really am enamored with that game. So, that's War of the Vikings. Now on to Chivalry. I know what I'm doing. Now on to Magicka Wizard Wars. Wizard Wars is... When I initially played it at the event in London earlier, towards the end of last year, I was like, this is good. Magicka's combat system was always geared towards PvP. I always wanted proper PvP in that game. The original did have some sort of PvP functionality, but obviously never just specifically made for PvP, but it always could be because the spell system is great. I mean, you can always obviously see a very high skill cap on something with that many combinations and reactivity, and obviously Paradox saw that as well, being that they're game developers and know what they're doing, and made Magicka Wizard Wars a specifically PvP-focused Magicka experience, and it is great. The only caveat I had at the start was because the only mode in the game was domination, where you take points, you lower tickets as people respawn, and to me, as a MMO player, that's a battleground. And the thing about battlegrounds is you play battlegrounds with some friends to have a mess around, to have fun. You play it when you're incredibly bored, or you play it to farm something. They're never what you play because you want, you know, the prime quality, fun, or intense PvP. That is what Arena is for, you know, rating, actual pure player versus player skill, no other objective but to kill your opponent, you know, a real test of man-on-man wizard, for that sounds weird actually, but you know what I'm saying. Battlegrounds are time passes, Arena is where the intense, I'm having fun, is at, and I have to say, before the Arena mode got added to Magicka Wizard Wars, I was like, oh no, please add an Arena, it's gonna fail if there's only a Battleground type mode, people will get bored, and lo and behold, like the awesomeness that they are, Duel got added to Wizard Wars. Duel is fantastic, and it works in a really neat way. 4 wizards get added, and basically they take turns in a 1v1 duel. At the start of the game, 2 people get randomly chosen, put into the arena, no gimmicks, no arena obstacles, just straight up 1 versus 1, use everything you have, kill your opponent. The winner who kills their opponent, the next person in line gets teleported into the arena, and they have another 1v1. The first person to 6 victories is the winner overall of the round, and then they win the match, and everything ends. There will be a rating system for it, and it is, having played it loads, it is glorious. A pure test of who has the better mastery of the combinations, firing spells backwards and forth, countering each other. It's like watching a heavily destructive, colourful dance of just intricate proportions. It is great, and it's also great watching 2 people who have no idea what they're doing fighting each other, because it's like watching 2 wizards flail generally ineffectually each other's direction until one of them falls over. But at high skills, this game is great. We had a tournament of it on the Steam, and my heart, man, and it is intense. It's like, oh my god, because you only have yourself to blame if you lose. PvP is at its finest when you only have yourself to blame when you've lost. It's also at its most frustrating when it's like that, but it is so worth it. The mode is great. There are a few problems with the mode, such as the fact when you're waiting to fight, if the other people are taking long or they're not having an interesting fight, it can get kind of, okay, come on, hurry up, I want to fight, and it would be great to have some sort of test dummy or trainer in the waiting area with you so you can practice your spells and test things against what you see that the current champion is doing quite often. You know, some way of preparing yourself, getting psyched up, instead of the, oh god, it's my turn now, quick, fight mode, because the other person is already in fight mode, and then you get suddenly thrown into it. So definitely some sort of way for the people watching to practice spells would be fantastic, but really, that's all that mode needs. If that had a rating system, which I know it will, having spoken to the developer, I am down. I am going to practice at that. I want to get really good, and again, I am so doing a tournament of that. Both these games are just fantastic PvP experiences, and they're also fantastic to watch. You should have heard the atmosphere in the stream room. People were just like, oh, go! In fact, my final match in the first round, which progressed me in the tournament, was a draw, and it was the most, people were on their feet, like, it was just, it's phenomenal. It really, really is. So it's Magicka, PvP, and it's just great. You know about Wizard Wars. I don't need to go over the mechanics and baseness of the game, etc. The main thing that they announced at this convention was the duel mode, and the duel mode is a great step in the right direction. They're also doing a thing where they're going to be asking people what feature they want and then implementing that instead of just deciding, which is also really neat because obviously it is a very community-driven game, as are most of Paradox's titles, and yeah, they are definitely going in the right direction. It's very, very promising, and I cannot wait to follow the path of Wizard Wars. So, that's the two favourite games for me out of the way, which leaves the remaining 5. 4 of which I'm going to be going over very quickly because I don't know much about them because they're grand strategy. Well, 3 of them are grand strategy, 1 of them isn't, but you'll see why when I get to it. So, the grand strategies... In fact, no, we'll save the grand strategies to last because, as I say, I don't have much to talk about them. So next up, we will do Runemaster. Now, Runemaster is... interesting. So, this was one of the brand new IPs announced at the convention for the first time, the whole, this is being made, you know, in the room when it got announced on the first day during the press conference, and basically what it is a Norse mythology-inspired RPG. Now, that is exciting simply for the fact that Paradox is making an RPG. They're known for their strategy, you know, grand strategy, and the fact that they're transitioning to an RPG, I felt kind of, because RPG is my favourite genre, so I was like, oh my god, they're going to make an RPG and it's going to be awesome! And then I got a developer session where I was in with some of the developers for about 40 minutes asking questions, seeing them playing the game. I never got to play it myself, so do remember this is all opinions and first impressions based on questions that I asked and stuff like that, and I never got to see it from... You know, I never got to play it hands-on, and that's mainly because it's in very, very early stages of development. Combat isn't implemented, that kind of thing. So, what is it, mechanically speaking? So, it's a top-down, think Diablo type style of RPG. However, the combat will be tactical, turn-based hex system, think Heroes of Might and Magic. So, you see an enemy in the overworld, you walk into them, it goes into a battle screen, you have your hero and your army, and you do battle taking turns. That kind of thing. They really want to put emphasis on strategy, outthinking your opponent, not mindless hack and slashing, which I think is fine. I do love a good bit of strategy. How the overworld works is there is 6 worlds: Jotunheim, Nilfenheim, Somethingheim, Thingyheim, Finalheim, Sixheim. You know, Viking Norse words. I don't know my Norse mythology off by heart. Can you blame me? And they're all distinctly different, you know, volcano, your swamp, your snowy, your cave, your fairy pixie land for the elves. For some reason, they've got a real thing against the elves to the developers. They really don't. Like, the elves are like, if you feel like picking Nancy elves, which, to be fair, I don't blame them. You've got the cave system area, like gloomy black rock for the dwarves, you know, very varied environments. That was one thing I asked because it can get kind of repetitive when you're playing through basically, I'm gone from green forest to slightly darker green jungle. Yay! So they are all varied environments. You pick from one of 3 classes, a sort of ranged, healery, crossbowy type guy, a melee guy, or a sorcerer. And you have 6 races: your ogres, your trolls, your dwarves, your humans, your elves, your 6th one that I can't remember, yay, and you play through the game. Now, the story each time will be roughly the same, but it will change depending on the actions that you take in the game. They want it to have like an emergent storyline that changes based off your decisions. Now, the overall arc of the story is you either side with Loki and kill Thor, causing Ragnarok, which is the destruction of the world, or you side with Thor, kill Loki, preventing Ragnarok, which is still the destruction of the world. It's not changed in the sentence that I was talking about, and, you know, that's quite neat, the ability for the final boss to be either Loki or Thor. People like those characters, they're well known, I approve. Now, they want you to be able to play through this game loads of times. Replayability is one of their key things at Paradox. Now, the thing is, the main storyline, because I asked this question in the developer session, is it going to be roughly the same each time through? Obviously, the differences being which god you sided with, and they're like, yeah, pretty much. So it's mainly the side quests that are going to change, and the stuff you get for exploration, which is going to be sizably different, because all the maps are procedurally generated each time you start a new game, so you won't have the exact same landscapes anytime you play through the game. They want you to be able to spend like 100 hours completing the game, which kind of worries me a little, because that is a massive time sink into a single-player game. Now, it was very, very early in development, pre-alpha, so obviously I can't judge too much, but from the gameplay that it showed me, it looked very much walking down paths with little open areas to explore where things might happen in. Now, I did ask about this. I did say it kind of looks like you're just walking down paths, and they assured me that it's going to be, you know, you've got a main flow that you do go down to progress the story, but there's going to be big, nice areas where stuff happens that you can explore. And I was like, okay, fair enough, because it does need to have proper things like that. No one just wants to walk down a path through 6 different worlds. And obviously, not being able to see the combat as it's not implemented, I can't really comment on that. I just can say that the idea of turn-based hex combat is something that I like. It's like a mini chess game within this sort of magical Norse world, which I do approve of. They want loot to feel like special and meaningful, like if you get a piece of loot, you're like, yeah, this is good, I'm gonna equip it, and the trade-off of that is you won't be showered in loot. Every loot you get will generally be good and usable, but you'll hardly get that much loot, which again, I am fine with. I think that small amounts of meaningful loot is much better than hundreds of trash that you just sell to vendors that just bloats your inventory a la Diablo style. And what else with Runekeeper, really? I mean, obviously they couldn't really show much. There's sort of a talent tree system for the classes that they're going to be, so you can customize. As of yet, they don't have any plans to implement multiplayer. So many people asked for multiplayer in this game, in everywhere. The people who I was in the developer session with also asked about multiplayer, but they seem really firm that they don't really want to add a multiplayer, but they're not completely like saying no, 100% not, but they seem to be definitely on the side of, we don't really want multiplayer, stop asking us about multiplayer. That's the kind of vibe I got. So multiplayer might go either way, but I would place my bets with it's not going to be in, which they, you know, they do want to make a immersion, really good single-player story RPG, so I can see why they wouldn't put the decision into a multiplayer. Now, my overall thoughts on the game that I've generally told you as much as I know is going to be in it is that I don't know. I don't think it's going to be bad. Certainly not. It's going to have a good modding scene. I can see modders going crazy with it. Game of Thrones mod within a month. But from what I saw, I don't know. I can't put my feelings into words when it comes to Runemaster, really. I'm going to try the game, obviously. I'll probably do a rage perspective on it, and it was a very early pre-alpha, so I can't comment that much in good conscience, because most of it wasn't implemented, and it's not fair to judge a game on very, very minimal gameplay and a few questions over half an hour of seeing it for the first time, so I'm not going to. But right now, I feel like it needs a little bit more if they want it to be this true masterpiece, story-driven RPG. But I still think it's very exciting, something to watch out for. And if you're an RPG fan or Norse mythology fan, definitely keep your eye on this, because I think it has the potential to be a real gem. Yes, indeed. So that's everything to do with Runemaster, which was one of the brand new things announced at the convention. Next up, I'm going to talk very briefly about Warlock 2, The Exile. I can't say that much about it, like hardly anything at all, apart from the trailer that was released at the convention. That's really, literally all I can say. All I'm going to say is think Civilization, but with magic. That's literally all I can say. Now, they'll hate me for saying that, because every time anyone bought Civ up, they were like, no, not Civ. but it's Civ with magic. It is. And do not think that's bad. I played it for a few hours, and I can't say anything that happened or show you any footage yet. I will do eventually, though, but it is really, really good fun. It's very addicting. I'm definitely going to do videos on it, get like Fluke to play it and Hollow and do a proper game. It is really good fun. It is not a derogatory thing to be compared to Civ. It really is not, and it does look really good fun. But that's all I can really say about Warlock at this time. So, moving on to the last 3 games, we have Crusader Kings 2, Rajas of India, the latest expansion, Europa Universalis 4, Wealth of Nations, the latest expansion for that, and finally Hearts of Iron 4. I'm going to cover Hearts of Iron 4 now because that was also an announcement that they're doing a new Hearts of Iron, and I have to say, given that I have zero frame of reference on Grand Strategy, having not played them, only introduced to them last year at Iceland, the 2013 convention, it does look really, really interesting. Now, I got a session in 2013 on Hearts of Iron 3. This year I got a session on Hearts of Iron 4, and I'm going to directly compare those two things because that's the only comparison I can do with my knowledge of this game. And Hearts of Iron 4 looks way better than Hearts of Iron 3, like a lot better. The map looks wonderful now. They've got a new tactical thing where you can draw battle plans onto the map, like arrows and stuff, and set up fronts, and your units just follow it, and it feels like a much more fluid, you're actually a general planning battles system, and it did look really good. If you're into World War II, and you like really in-depth strategy, Hearts of Iron definitely should be checked out. But I mean, Hearts of Iron is not for the faint-of-hearted. Ho ho ho! You know, steep learning curve, in-depth, you know the kind of thing that I'm gonna say. But I can't say much more. I can't, everyone watching this who knows Grand Strategy, Hearts of Iron, expecting some insight, I can't give you it. I don't know about Grand Strategy, honestly. All I can say to you is that it looks good. Like, good enough to the point where I'm like, I do want to try it. I want to get into this genre. It looks really good fun. It polished, you know, the systems are all refined and good. I think Hearts of Iron is the perfect place to start getting into the Hearts of Iron series if you're interested in World War II or Grand Strategy or both. But really, I've got nothing else to say about it. It just looks good. That's all I can say. Next up, Europa Universalis 4, the Wealth of Nations expansion. I've got even less to say about this. I've not played EU4, I've not seen that much gameplay, apart from the gameplay that I played myself on the Steambox. It actually worked quite well, but I'll do that in the Steambox video. Don't worry about it. Apart from that, yeah, I got nothing in Europa Universalis. I'm not into Grand Strategy, although I would like to be, but yeah, I don't know anything about that game. But, you know, the expansion looks fine. They're adding new systems, refining old systems. It's what you'd expect from an expansion. So I'm sure if you like Europa Universalis 4, you're going to like this expansion. That's as much insight as I can offer, unfortunately. I hope to change that by next year, though. And then finally, we have Crusader Kings 2. Now, Crusader Kings 2, I think, is prime at the top of my list of getting me into Grand Strategy. I didn't give it enough attention last year, and I definitely did this year. The whole, like, having personalities, like you're a king with his family, and you've got the interpersonal relationships with your own people and your own, like, leaders running certain provinces for you and marrying into other countries to gain land and stuff, and just the relationships and the politics. That is really interesting to me. It's very Game of Thrones, and that's great. It looks really good fun. I really want to try Crusader Kings 2. I'm definitely going to try and get into Grand Strategy via Crusader Kings 2. Now, the expansion, Rajas of India, adds the continent of India, well, not the continent really, the country of India, as you might imagine, adds new religions to the game. This means nothing to me as I'm saying it, but I'm sure to all of you guys who know Grand Strategy it is meaning something, and that's really all I can say about that again. But I want to round out my thoughts with Crusader Kings 2 with, I am going to try Crusader Kings 2. I've decided on that one. I think it definitely looks really good fun. I'm going to get Hollow as many other people as I can, and definitely give Crusader Kings 2 a really, really good try. But it is getting a next expansion, and that's really all I can say about it. So, there we go, everybody. That was the Paradox Convention 2014 in terms of the games that I was shown, what I think about it, my thoughts, etc. Any questions, let me know in the comments. I will try to answer them. And yeah, 2 more videos from this convention will be happening, not counting specific perspectives I do on the games, any of the games that I've mentioned. Yeah, good, I'm done. Yes, it's all good. There's probably things that I've forgotten to say, thoughts that I've had about the games, ideas and stuff, but I wanted to do this video while I was fresh from the convention, everything in my mind as fresh as possible. When I do specific videos on these games, then I will give a much more in-depth opinions, and you know what I'm saying, you know how it goes. This is general overview of the convention. Let me know if you like this kind of content, by the way, where I get a little bit more thoughtful and informative, that kind of thing. I mean, I love doing this stuff as well as the silly stuff, so let me know. My name's been Ray. Like if you enjoyed this. I will see you all next time. Goodbye.